Hi, I'm Dr. Jacob Lauritzen, and this is Read, Write, and Cite, the show where I teach you how to read, write, and cite for your college classes. Sorry, I hit my mic already. In this video, we're going to be talking about what a comma splice is. In a previous video, we talked about what a run-on sentence is, and they're so close to each other. In fact, the fixes for a run-on sentence are almost the exact same fixes for a comma splice. So if you saw that, you probably already know what to do about this situation. But let's start by explaining what a comma splice is. So this is what a comma splice is. It's when you are incorrectly using a comma to connect two independent clauses. So you've got an independent clause, which is a group of words that has a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. It could be a sentence by itself. You've got two of those, and in the middle you just stuck a comma. That is not the correct way to fix that problem. Well, we call it a comma splice. That's the problem, right? It's actually very similar to the definition for a run-on sentence, except you have a comma in the middle. Make sense? I find that this happens when students misunderstand when to put a comma. They kind of understand that there's a gap between these two things, and maybe they heard this bad rule, which so many teachers say is, well, you put a comma anywhere where you take a breath. No, that is not the right way to use it. I have a video about how to use commas correctly, and that's not it. Just like in this case, you don't just stick a comma in the middle. You'd have to do more than that. Let's talk about exactly how to do that. So here we have a sample sentence. Janet walked to the store. She bought a sandwich for lunch. So we have two independent clauses, and currently this is a run-on sentence, right? I've got independent clause here and independent clause here. And if I had a comma in the middle, it would be just a comma splice, right? I messed up in my thing and I didn't show the comma. But there's three different ways we can fix this. So I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. There's three different ways we can fix it. All right, you can stick a semicolon where the comma was. It seems like the same thing, except commas and semicolons are not the same thing, right? The purpose of a semicolon is to separate equal ideas, like two independent clauses. Does that make sense? The reason why someone would use that instead of, say, a period, which we're going to talk about in a second, the reason why someone would do that is because you got two things and you kind of want them to go together, but they're complete by themselves. Semicolon's a way to separate it without adding any extra words. You can just stick a semicolon in the middle. Make sense? If this is confusing, not a lot of people use semicolons, and yeah, it makes sense. And it's not just to create a wink emoticon. And people often get confused the difference between a semicolon and a colon, but this is the correct way to use it. You can also similarly just stick a period in the middle and capitalize the first word in the second sentence. If you really do have two independent clauses, this is going to fix it. It really separates the two ideas. It doesn't really flow, but it's correct. And maybe that's the best thing for you. The other thing to do is probably the thing you most likely need to do. And that is to add a comma and a conjunction. I didn't update the title. I'm sorry. I went through this PowerPoint really fast. Apologize for it. Okay, so if I have this sentence, Janet walked to the store, she bought a sandwich for lunch, I can correctly connect it. Instead of just sticking in the comma, I can add a conjunction after the comma. And I use the appropriate coordinating conjunction to connect the two things. I can, if they are ideas that kind of go together, a word like and might be appropriate. If they're not, maybe a word like but is appropriate. Whatever the case may be, find the word that's appropriate for the meaning, but this is the kind of word you need. You need a conjunction. Okay, so let's talk about what this is. If you are incorrectly using a comma to connect two independent clauses, we call that a comma splice. Comma splices are bad, and you can have more than two independent clauses in a sentence that have this problem, but this is where this problem initially starts. You got two equal ideas, you put a comma in the middle, and you didn't try to connect it correctly, comma splice. How do you fix it? Just like we talked about, a comma splice can be corrected with a semicolon, a period by just separating the two things, or you can leave that comma and add a conjunction that helps to connect things, because that's really what you're missing. Okay, so excuse me, apologize. I hope this video was helpful for you. You can find more information and more videos like this on this YouTube channel or on our website, carpeandzen.com. I really appreciate you taking the time to check out this video. I hope it was helpful for you. Again, I'm Dr. Jacob Lauritzen. This has been Read, Write, and Cite. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.